Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to a new edition of the Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Cota. To my far right, my co-host, Kevin Johnson, KJ. And today's special guest, we have a former South Carolina State Bulldog in the house. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Set a lot of records under the realm of Buddy Pugh. He came in 2000, I think 2004 to 2007. This guy broke a lot of records, passed for over 4,233 yards, 57 touchdowns. He could do it with his legs, and he could do it in the air. Went into the free agency with the Lions, and from there played a little bit of Winnipeg overseas in the CFL. Today's special guest, we have a former South Carolina native by the name of Cleve McCoy. What's
going on?
Oh man, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Man,
hey man, so glad to have you.
Man, it's good. It's been a while that I kind of talked about myself, man. It's been a long journey, man, but it's been good. And you reflect back over time, and you realize, like, man, I'm blessed, man, and I can't.
That's right, man.
I can't complain, man. I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good spot.
Yeah, for the Bulldog Nation, you guys in the national championship this weekend.
Big, right?
Like they say, everybody get up for the Bulldogs.
Exactly.
State in the house.
Hey, I was telling my guys, I said, man, hey, when we play on national television now, we put on a show, right?
Yeah, do.
I know we're going against the top. We're going against some good guys from Jackson, though. But when Coach Pugh put us on television, it's like we turn on something else, man. So, I'm a Bulldog, and I'm hoping the boys pull it off.
The dog come out.
That's it.
That's
how we gonna roll. That's how we gonna roll.
That's it.
That's it.
All the dogs bark. What I'm saying? Come Saturday, baby. Hey.
That's it.
Let's get it.
They ain't gonna bite it. They gonna bite.
I'm excited. I used to be on the sidelines with Coach Jeffries back in the day. But for the people that don't know you, Cleve, let them know a little bit about your background and where you from, man.
Yeah, man. So originally I'm from Bradenton, Florida, man. I moved to South Carolina in grade school. And always had a passion playing football. I'm down south, you know what I mean? So football was just the way it is. That's you didn't play football then, you had nothing else to do, So I brought that with me to South Carolina, man, and we moved into like a small area in South Carolina, Hollywood. I went to Baptist High School in Hollywood, South Carolina.
Okay.
1A school, we had about, I don't know, maybe like 500 kids, and from that, I was, I always wanted to play wide receiver. I wanted to be like, I don't know, Peter Warrick. Peter Warrick used to live in the same neighborhood I lived in growing up as a kid.
Talk about that all the time.
And so I wanted to be Peter Warrick, right? But then I realized, like, I need the ball in my hands. You know what I mean? So I decided to give quarterback a shot, and I enjoyed it, and then we ran the option. So then it was more like, all right, I get to do my thing and just running the option, and that helped me, propel me, and got me to college and stuff, things like that. And so I had a bunch of opportunities, and I had some, I had Clemson reach out to me, but they wanted to move me to outside linebacker, and had USC reach out to me to move me to outside linebacker. And, I had Kansas University. They wanted to move me to dog safety. And I was like, I got my brother, I call him my brother. He's like my mentor, and Coach Sean Mitchell. He told me, say, Cleve, as much as you want to go to a bigger school, the last thing you want to do is watch the quarterback while you're doing your drills and keep saying, man, I can do that. Yeah. I can do that. So I was like, you know what? Man, I'm going to go to South Carolina State. They gave me an opportunity. And, of course, South Carolina State wanted to move because I was a bigger kid. You know what I mean? I was big.
Yeah.
I was like 6'2", 220 pounds coming out, man. And they're like, man, this kid is,
it's safety,
linebacker.
Right?
You can go to the league to play linebacker. And I was like, I know, but I want to play quarterback. And, man, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was raw. I didn't, I was raw. I was just a raw athlete. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in the country. I grew up throwing to trees and doing different things and doing agility drills on tree stumps and jumping over trash cans. I'm a
old
kid.
School,
so, and so I went to South Carolina State. I just used my raw athletic ability, and I mean, it made me go pretty far. I had some professional stints with arena football, Canada, NFL, any outside league. Cleve McCoy was in it. But like so I got my own training company now here in Minnesota. I tell my guys, I said, you know what? At that time, I didn't appreciate it, right? I didn't appreciate, the things because I was like, man, I still should be playing. But I realized I was wrong. Like, I just did it by just natural God-given talent. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to go to trainers and stuff like that. But I went through all these places and I learned a lot. And now I'm passing that knowledge on to these kids now. These guys getting professional training in 5th, 6th grade.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
grade.
Minnesota's not known for football. But my goal, right, is to change that. And so I'm starting it now, man. And, I got a lot of people following it. And it's a blessing, man. And I'm just taking this little boy from Hollywood, South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
In this big state making waves, man. And that's what it's about.
That's right, man.
Right, man.
Hey, take me back, man. Take me back to your childhood. What age you started playing sports, and what sport was your first love?
Man, so take a childhood. My first sport, honestly, I grew up in Florida, so it was football, right? We used to play football in the street with no shoes on. You know what I mean? Just little things like that. And I would do that.
Hey, don't fall on that pavement, man.
So
don't fall on that pavement.
Football. But I didn't play organized football until 3rd grade. I played organized basketball. Basketball was my first sport that I did organized. And, and I started taking a liking to basketball, right? I was actually pretty decent at basketball. And I never forget my coach, Marion Brown, in high school. He was like, Cleve, you like basketball? Yeah, I love basketball. He's like, all right, I want you to do me a favor. Here's your homework assignment. I want you to look up a 6'2" small forward in college and let me know by tomorrow, right? So I did my research. I couldn't find no 6'2". I couldn't find no small forward, that was 6'2". And he was like, man, football, you get a better opportunity playing football. You got 11 guys on the field compared to 5. It's like, that's your opportunity. That's your way out. So, yeah, basketball was my first sport as a kid, but then I took on the football, and that's kind of the story wrote itself.
That's what's up, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, growing up, who were some of the guys that you looked up to, playing sports? Who were some of your favorite athletes or you modeled your game after?
Yeah, so I love Peter Warrick. Peter Warrick was the man. By far, I have arguments to this day. I still think he's the best college football player, but that's just my opinion, right? But, so Peter Warrick, I watched Peter Warrick a lot, man. And then, came Michael Vick. Michael Vick, Woody Dantzler. You know what I mean? That's what I modeled my game.
I seen it all up close, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I never forget we had a junior day visit. And I got an opportunity to see Woody play. And I was like, man, this dude is pretty cool, man. And I took my last 10. I had, because you couldn't get, back then you couldn't get anything from junior day. You had to actually pay to go to junior day. You had to pay like $6, right? And I had $20. And in the Clemson store, they had the Woody Dantzler jersey. I took my last little bit of money and I got that jersey. I got it. Right?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so, man, because I was like, man, I want to be like this guy. Because Woody was the man. Woody was, he would have 2,000 yards, rushing, 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? He was and throwing the ball. Right. Yeah. And Michael Vick was the same way. So I wanted to be just like them, just like those guys. So I modeled my game around those guys. Playing.
Shout out to Booney Mitchell. He said Woody Orangeburg product.
That's it.
He said Cleve all-time quarterback room is deep. Cleve a big part of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, what about Vince Young though, man?
So I used to get the comparison to Vince Young, but the one thing, and I like Vince Young, but me and Vince Young were in the same. We played during the same era, and so I never wanted to be starstruck, right? I'm like, Vince Young's cool, but hey, I'm just as good, right? So I would tell myself that I'm just as good as Vince Young.
That's right.
My coach would compare me to. You like Vince? No, I want to be better than Vince Young. So
Vince
Young was a great quarterback, but I looked at those legends like McNabb. You know what I mean?
All right.
McNabb. McNabb can move around.
Come on, man.
Some of those guys like that. That's who I wanted to be like.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah. So
let me ask you real quick. This is off the record. Who's your top 5? What's your top 5 quarterback?
My top, not over time, right? Over time, I realized like, hey, you can run around if you want, but you got to be able to throw that ball, right?
There you
know what I mean? You got to be able to throw the ball. So
man.
all
you
time,
can't run forever.
You know, it can't run forever, man. I
Yeah.
respect guys that can sit in that pocket and fire that ball, man.
There you go.
Right now, if I had to say some of my top 5 guys right now, I would say, man, I like you know, Tom Brady is a GOAT, right? Tom Brady is a legend, man. I
Yeah.
sit and I just marvel his mechanics, you know. Like he's just technically sound. Like I like Tom Brady. You know, Pat Mahomes is a trendsetter, right? This dude's different, right? He's different, but he gets the job done. You know what I mean? I like Pat Mahomes. I like Josh Allen. You know, Josh Allen, a small school kid, but man, he worked on his technique. You know, he looks really good. I admire Drew Brees. You know, Drew Brees didn't have the strongest arm, but he was a mechanic beast. You know what I mean? But I still got to put Mike Vick in there, bro. Like Mike Vick's still my guy, man, regardless. So that's my top 5. That's kind of how I'm hanging in there.
All right.
Yeah.
So you started playing football in the 3rd grade, you said, right? Basketball was your first love. So during those times, what sport were you playing? Were you playing basketball or t-ball or anything like that?
As a kid?
Yeah.
Nah, man, shoot. To be honest with you, like I said, football was my first organized sport, and that was in 3rd grade, and it was just like that was pretty much the only organized sport I actually did as a kid. You know, I had to.
Okay.
I was a single. You know, I was single. You know, had to take care of my younger sister, and I had little cousins and stuff like that. That I would just kind of be with them all the time. But when football, that was the one sport that, hey, I dropped some responsibility, and I got to play football. But you know, as a kid, football was probably my only organized sport that I played. I wish I played baseball. I tell my son that all the time.
Yeah,
you know, but no, I didn't get a chance.
Yeah. All right. So you go into high school. You started playing football. What position are you playing then?
Well, high school, I came in. I wanted to play wide receiver, right? And then, but in all actually, my first varsity touchdown was at defensive end.
What?
Okay.
Defensive end, yeah. I had a scoop score.
You was coming, boy.
My first time ever playing in a varsity game, I scooped and scored and ran it for a touchdown. I was a D end because I was a big dude, man, and but I was nimble. I could move around a little bit, and so you know, I played D end. I moved from D end to like quarterback because the type of offense we ran, it was more structured on the running quarterback. So that worked out best for me because I had colleges saying you a running back, right, man? You make a heck of a running back. You know, that was just I went to the All-Star game, believe it or not, as an outside linebacker. And I had USC, so Charlie Strong. I know you guys remember Charlie Strong.
Yeah.
But he was hard on me too, man. He wanted to play outside linebacker so bad. I was like, man, I didn't, when you play all quarterback and you an offense, that physicality piece, that's a mental thing. I didn't want to hit nobody. I wanted to not get hit. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that went. But yeah, no, I was versatile in the sense of doing some of that stuff. Hell, I had opportunity with the Lions as a wide receiver. You know, never played it, right? But it's just kind of like, it is what it is, you know. And I think a lot of that too is, you know, coming from HBCU, and like I said, I love my school, but I wasn't as polished, you know what I mean? Because it was just like, use your skill set, Cleve, and get the job done, right? Yeah. And it wasn't a focus on, hey, become a passer, right? You know, polish your game up a little bit. It was like, shit, do what you do, win these games, right? And so that's what it was, and so that's kind of what took place. So then it was like, he can play football. This kid's a jackknife, right? But I was good at a lot of things, but I didn't have anything that I was great at, you know, and that was the thing that kind of like deterred my professional career.
All right. They talk about your high school coach. What kind of coach was he?
Yeah, Coach Burns. Coach Burns is a really good guy, man. He was an English teacher, and so he would always fix our grammar and stuff when we talk. You gotta think now, because you know, South Carolina, especially in Charleston, you know, we Geechee. You know, people say, yo, you know, you got to talk like you're from an island and stuff like that. But he was an English teacher, so he would always get on us about, you know, proper grammar, and a really good guy, super supportive. You know, like my mom would work, so it was times I didn't have rides, you know, ride home and stuff, and he'll find a way to pick me up and take me home. It took a community, man, and I had an opportunity to go to a bigger school in high school. You know, because my mom moved my junior year, and I had an opportunity to leave, and I didn't. You know, I decided to stay with my best friend, and I finished out my junior senior year with my best friend. instead of going to a bigger school because, you know, Baptist Hill was a community. You know, it was small, but everybody took care of each other.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But no, Coach
So,
Burns is a
who's
great
the coach
coach, man, really good.
So he's the coach that's responsible for switching you from DN to quarterback?
Well, no. So the thing was, I played quarterback, but I was a freshman. They had a senior. So it's like, we got to get this kid on the field. We're going to put him at defensive end.
Playmakers, okay.
Yeah, so I played DN. That was my first touchdown as a DN,
Wow.
as a defensive end.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, so did y'all make it to the playoffs and win any state titles? The time there?
Yeah, man. We won my junior and senior year. We went undefeated, right? We didn't lose a game, but we lost in the playoffs. You know, and it was tough. And my senior year, we lost to a team that we beat 49-6 the first time, and they beat us 13-14. And that was tough, man. And that was a tough one, man, because like I said, you went to a small school, so like it was maybe like 7 of us that it was like really good guys, like, you know, playmakers, and 2 of those guys were hurt. And shoot, you know, coming from a winning school, you had a small pot to pick from, so we just kind of strapped and wrapped, but we weren't fully strong, and that injuries plagued us because we played our rivalry game the week before playoffs. You know, so if you're a coach, do not schedule your rivalry opponent before playoffs because you exhaust everything in that rivalry game, and you get a first round because you're thinking you're the number 1 seed, you're playing the number 8 seed, you're gonna automatically win. Mm-hmm. You got to play the game. You know what I'm saying? You have to play the game. So that's just how Herman would say it, but that's just how it is.
That's good, man.
Yeah, man. So how was it your first start at quarterback when you first got behind the center? Talk about that experience, and just talk about basically the teammates that you had in high school. How did they affected you, and how did they took you from switching from DN to quarterback?
Man, so yeah, I'll never forget that first game at quarterback in high school. It was like we punted on 3rd down. We punted the ball on 3rd down because we just kept going backwards, right? You got to think like,
ain't nobody blocking.
We punted on 3rd down. I'll never forget that. You know, we punted on 3rd down because we were a small school and we tried to play up. And they had our number. So the game was moving fast, man. It was moving fast, moving really fast for me, and it slowed down sophomore year. It slowed down, and I kind of figured it out, and you know, I realized that because like I said, I didn't really play organized football till like 3rd grade, but I didn't consistently do it, so I didn't really have that confidence yet to understand like, hey, Cleve, you could be the guy. You know what I mean? You could be the guy to win games. You don't have to rely on other people because, you know, you play Pee Wee, you always got the one kid that's faster than everybody and all that, you know. I wasn't that guy, you know. I kind of came late, but, you know, so it's like, man, you could be the guy to win these games. And once I got that confidence, it definitely changed everything. So then playing was smooth and easy.
Okay. Cool. So did you play in the All-Star game your senior year? North-South or Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, North-South.
Okay, and you played outside linebacker in that game?
I played outside linebacker and quarterback, but yeah, I had some of the bigger schools wanted to switch me over to defense. I won. So and matter of fact, I was all state. I played my freshman year as a safety, and my senior year in high school, like I was one of the top quarterbacks, but you only get one for the Low Country area, right, for the state. So they gave it to this kid calling drafts because he went to a bigger school. And they couldn't snub me. So they gave it to me as a safety. Never played it since freshman year. Right? But I went to a small school, so it's like, all right, this kid's one of the top athletes in the state, but you know, we can't let him do it at quarterback. We got to find something else for him. And so I got it as a safety.
Cool.
Yeah.
So coming out of high school, what schools did you turn down and why you chose South Carolina State?
Yeah, man. So, and you know, that's a funny story, man. I committed to every school that offered. I committed to every school that offered because I didn't know, like I was the first one to ever go through this process, right? You got these coaches calling you every night. You're like, I'm coming. I'm coming here. I'm coming there. I'm coming there, right? And I committed to Howard. I committed to East Tennessee State. I committed to, I was committed to Coastal. I committed to South Carolina State. I had USC. And I was going to commit to USC. And South Carolina State came to the school, and so that's why I said I committed everywhere. But then Coach Pugh just left South Carolina, right? So then when Coach Gudakis, who was at South Carolina at the point, he got wind that I committed, and then I was like, but no, I don't know what I want to do. But he was like, Coach Pugh's our guy. Like, I don't ever want to take a guy from, you know what I mean, from Coach Pugh. I respect Coach Pugh, but I really was going to take that chance to play safety at USC. But then that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, I committed everywhere. But I turned down, like I said, I turned down some schools. I had Citadel, Appalachian State, Western Carolina, Coastal Carolina, Howard. I had Clemson was on me. I don't know. You might have known. You remember Coach Burns at Clemson?
Oh yeah, Coach Burns, running back coach.
Yeah, I think he was the running back guy, and he was like, and I'll never forget. He told me he was like, because he didn't know what they wanted me to play, and then he told me he's like, after I was at State and I got like all conference, he's like, Cleve, we should have offered you something. I should have offered you a scholarship. He told me that. I'll never forget that. But yeah, I had all those schools. I had them all.
Man.
I had them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to have you man. For real.
Yeah, man. And that was that. It was fun, man. Crimson that's that Roscoe Crosby era. When,
there you go.
I was trying to come in.
Yep. That's funny you said that because he was hitting home runs over here at Mermo Field in the summer league after we played. He was like a couple leagues behind us, but he was shining during that time in high school. And they were talking about he was going to be projected draft pick coming straight out of high school then, and he was only in like 10th grade. Yep.
Crazy.
So talk about going to State, man. You chose the Blue and Garnet. You went there. Who was the first player or student or coach that embraced you when you went to South Carolina State?
The first coach that embraced me with South Carolina State was Robbie Wells, and he was the linebacker coach.
Wow.
And my mom came in, he was like, "Oh, this is a mighty fine quarterback, right?" He kept me in. My mom was like, "No, he's linebacker." My mom said, "No, he's a quarterback." And Coach Pugh was like, "Nope, it's my guy." And so that was my first interaction at South Carolina State, coming in, and Coach Pugh was a great guy, but Coach Pugh was funny, man. He was like, Cleve, Cleve, I got a stud on my team, but this boy wouldn't know an audible from a helicopter, right? I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say his initials, but his name is Cleve McCoy. He will always do that all the time because, like I said, I went to a small school, so we didn't do, it was Cleve run left, Cleve run right, Cleve throw the ball deep. You know what I mean? And so he would get on me. So he would get on me all the time. But he was patient with me. He let me blossom because he knew that he saw something, right? And if you talk to him, he's like, man, hell, when I first got Cleve couldn't hit the backside of a barn, right? You know what I mean? He was just all over the place. But then over time, I figured it out, and so yeah, cool. It was fun playing at South Carolina State. I learned a lot from Coach Pugh from just how to become a coach, how to be a man. You know what I mean? How to be organized, do things the right way. You know what I mean? And so a lot came from that. And Coach Pugh will vouch. And one thing I like about Coach Pugh, he'll vouch for you. You know what I mean? He if you're on his side, he'll stand by you the whole time. And so yeah, South Carolina State was a great experience. Played a lot of places. I did a lot of things. Took my first flight. You know what I mean? And just doing different things like that because Coach Pugh wanted to model South Carolina State like USC. They used to call us the baby USC because he came from that program and he wanted to pass it down. You know what I mean? And so that was his whole deal. He wanted us to do everything just like Carolina. And he tried, and you got to think about it, we didn't play big schools until he got there. And I love Coach Jeffries. Coach Jeffries is my guy too, but Coach, you played a big role in giving us the opportunity to play against some of the FBS schools, and that actually helped us with getting guys to the league. You look at like Marshall McFadden and some of those guys, man. Hamlin, Hamilton, and Raphael Bush. All those guys made it to the league just off those games against Clemson, against Carolina, where they got an opportunity to play. And so that was very, very, that's a very integral role in what Coach had for us. Exactly, put us on a big stage, big platforms.
Yeah,
let them see that we can play too.
So did you redshirt your first year, or you played right away?
Yeah, so I redshirted my first year. And I think, Kevin, that's probably the best thing that could happen to me. You know what I mean? Because of that, I learned the game of college football. And so, funny story. I never forget when you first got to school, right? You like, oh yeah, I'm on the football team, right? And we played Tennessee State at the Tennessee Titans Stadium, right? As my freshman. And then I had my friend told me, Kelly King was like, man, everybody don't travel. I was like, what you mean everybody don't travel? I'm on the football team. Like, oh, that don't mean nothing, dog. Everybody don't travel. And I was like, what you mean? I can't stay back at school because people will be like, I thought you were on the football team. So then I found out, like, if you made Scout Team Player of the Week, you get to travel. So when they told me that, I said, every week I'm going on these trips as a redshirt freshman. Yeah. So I would show off in Scout on Scout team. And man, I would have the defensive boys wanting to fight me, but I didn't care because I was like, I'm not. I'm getting to travel on this trip. I'm traveling, dog. You know. So I mean, them boys they didn't like that, but it was what it was, and so I had to do what I had to do. Yeah, you making them work hard. Exactly. That taking that time to redshirt was a great thing. It was a big opportunity for me. And so that helped me, and I got the game speed down. And then the one thing, if you get the defensive coaches vouching for you as a quarterback, that was the thing. The defensive coordinator, like Coach Wells, vouched for me. Like, hey, I've seen what this kid does when he's with us. He needs to be playing. This is my guy. I root for him. I need him to be playing quarterback because I see what he does down here every day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Coach Wells was a big piece of that. Yeah.
So talk about your first start, and also talk about what it means to be a Bulldog.
Well, yeah, my first start was against Norfolk State, my redshirt freshman year. Because Brett was the quarterback. I don't know what Brett got hurt. Brett was sick, and so it was like shit. Cleve, you got to step up, right? And it was Brett and this guy named Ariel Freeman. He transferred from Carolina. And I still don't understand what happened. But anyway, I started, right? I started against Norfolk State, and that was my first start. But that was my first, touchdown in college because we played at the Capital City Classic against Bitterdick. So then I kind of had some experience playing in games and stuff. So, but that was my first start. And I was like, man, I just want to go and have fun. And we won that game, man, and we won the conference that year. We won the MEAC. So that was a big game because the starting quarterback was out, and I had to step in and play, and I played well. I did a good job. I think I had, 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game, but it was definitely fun for me, and it was an opportunity to get out on the field. And from there, then that's when I started playing sporadically. Like, here we're gonna do the Cleve package. Here's the Cleve package. Here's the Cleve package because they were setting it up for the following year. But yeah, that's my first start. And to be a Bulldog, man, is like, playing at South Carolina State. And to be at South Carolina State, like, you have to experience it, right? It was like, you got to work hard for things that you want, right? And when you do take something, you get something, you take advantage of it because you don't know if you're gonna have it the following year. And one of those things where it was like you had to work hard, and so we didn't have the luxury of like the nicest rate room. We didn't have the luxury of having meal plans and stipends and all this different stuff. We just figured it out, right? And so that definitely helped you in life because then you had to figure things out. And so we had the opportunity to learn like that. And I think, the good thing about it is, you build that brotherhood. I just got, before you guys called me, I was talking to my guy, Rolandus Breland. I haven't talked to Breland in 3 years? But we get on the phone and we just picked up just like that. Yeah. Just like, you know what I mean? It's like we never missed a beat. And so that's what I enjoy about, that brotherhood from South Carolina State. And you guys know how it is in the locker room and stuff like that. That's where you build some of your best relationships.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. And talk about playing for Coach Buddy Pugh.
Yeah, no, Coach Pugh was a coach. Like I said, Coach Pugh was a great guy, but he was a funny guy. And like every guy that played for Coach Pugh kind of models something that he does. Like the way he talks, the way he walks, his mannerisms, something. Like he passes it down to you, right? And so we all go, hell, goddamn. You know what I mean? He would always say that. And so we just always say it, right? You could be on the phone with hell, goddamn. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. And so he's a guy like that. But man, like I said, man, he would do little things for you. Like I said, he'd go to bat for you if you're his guy. And I was fortunate to be one of his guys. I can remember playing for him at first. So I was so scared of him. So scared of him. Because he got that play like that. You be yelling and stuff like that in your ear, you know what I mean? And like so I'll be doing well, and then he'll come around and I'll just freeze and tense up. Like, oh shit, here comes Coach Pugh.
What you gonna say?
I mean, here comes Coach Pugh, palms sweaty, can't throw the ball. And that's why he can't throw the goddamn ball. You know what I mean? But it was just the fact that he was around, and I had to one day. I told my friend Baker. He was like, "Man, Cleve, you just gotta ignore him, bro. Ignore him.
Block him out. Block him out. Yeah,
block him out. He give me this.
It's hard though, man. It's hard.
And so I just started, you know, and that's the stuff.
Yeah, you had to think of your favorite song or something.
Your phone breaking. What did you say, KJ?
Yeah, I was saying you probably had to think of something, your favorite song or something to block them out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I literally, I used to listen to the Blueprint before practice. Jay-Z, the Blueprint, and that used to be that used to get me going, right? And, you know, that's just smooth. I used to listen to the Gift and the Curse. That was my way of just kind of, you know, going in at practice. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, talk about playing in the MEAC and some of your rival competitions, like Howard and North Carolina A&T, Florida A&M. I see you guys put up big numbers against those guys during your era. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. It was, you know, you get to play against Hampton. Hampton used to be the cream. Like, Hampton was the school that you wanted to beat. You know what I mean? They had Justin Durant. They had, they had the running back Colbert. Man, Hampton was the top dog, right? And we wanted to top, Hampton off. You know, FAMU was always a fun game because, you know, the Rattlers gonna always come, and they had that tradition, that rich tradition. And FAMU at the time was gonna go D1. They were gonna go full FBS, and they were playing like Virginia Tech, Miami, Florida State. They were actually getting some recognition. Yeah. With Jewel Cookman, you got the 400, 24K band, and you got that swagger from the coach. I can't remember his name. He was a swaggy guy, man. He would come out with his shades. I remember him saying, "You know why I wear shades? Because my future's so bright." Right? He was kind of, he was like that. Shoot, you had Howard. That I committed to Howard, and I always wanted to make sure that I would beat them because I wanted to be like, all right, just let them know I made the right decision because I committed. Like I was going to go to Howard University. Like I was going to go there. Right? That was another school that I was like, after Carolina, I was like, I'm going to Howard because my mom didn't want me to go. Yeah, so I did that, and then just playing against some of the top, some of the schools like that, and then I never get the opportunity. I played against Tavares Jackson. We played on the MEAC SWAC Classic, and that was my first start as a quarterback, right? Like as the head guy of the team, and that was my first game. I'm going against a guy he got drafted in the second round. You know what I mean, that year. And he was a prototypical quarterback, and that was just a big opportunity for me, man. And I won MVP that game too, and it was like, dang, that's a wake up moment. And the rest, it was a tragic what happened to him. And I always wanted to reach out to him and let him know, like, hey, my first real game was against you, and now he was a starting quarterback here for the Vikings for a few years too, and took me to the playoffs. So yeah. Wow. Played against some of the best, man, and shoot, it was all about, great doing that stuff.
Well, Cleve, we got some clips, man. We're gonna go ahead and get into some highlights. I know you was shaking and baking them back then, putting up points in the MEAC and leading the way. So we can go ahead and look at that. For everybody that's watching, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We have former South Carolina State University quarterback, leading passer, Cleve McCoy. If you can, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and on Spotify and Deezer, okay? Let me go ahead and get into that clip.
Yep.
And we'll be right back.
On this phone, you guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's static.
Ooh.
Look at him.
Spin. Ooh.
Ooh. That's okay. I try to be Michael Vick.
Yeah, I see it.
I try to be a little Michael Vick a little bit back in there.
Throw it.
podcast.
This is against Hampton University.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Guys playing on ESPNU.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Playing at Bulldog Stadium. All of us to see Dawson.
The shake and bake. Look at him.
Okay. It's another televised game. Playing against Air Force.
Yeah, man, fun times.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Get back a little bit.
Step drop.
Mechanics.
Okay. Nice move.
Got him.
Ooh. Nice move.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back. Let me see if I can get him back in.
All right.
I don't see him.
That's a good clip, though.
Yep. Try to see if he comes back in.
Okay.
All right.
You trying to get through?
All right. Don't see no signs of him.
Okay.
Hopefully he didn't lose internet connection or his battery didn't die. Can you try to call him on the other phone?
Yeah. Try to come on. We get no answers, man.
Oh, no answer?
Nah, I guess we might just have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we lost Cleve McCoy. We'll try to get him back on, make a phone call real quick. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Right.
If we come back in, we'll send a notification. Other than that, please subscribe to YouTube channel and watch us on Facebook and follow us on Spotify and Deezer. All right. We would like to thank the guests for coming on, Cleve McCoy.
That's right.
And, shouts out to South Carolina State Bulldogs. Good luck this weekend. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. All right.
Right.
Until the next time, you guys wear your mask Be safe. Peace.